Good morning, Paradise Valley residents. I'm Chief Pete Wingert, your police chief. Thank you for coming to virtual Coffee with a Cop this morning, where you get to drink your coffee, which is probably better than my coffee, and enjoy a quick presentation and some questions that were submitted. So I'm here today with Commander Michael Cole, Community Resource Officer, and the man behind the scenes is Duncan Miller. I don't expect Duncan to chime in very much, but he's the one helping us with the technological aspects of this presentation. I see a couple of, I see one council member Anna Thomason, and I'd just like to thank you for being here. I don't see any other council members on there. I'm gonna promote you to panelist, and if you have anything to say, you're certainly welcome to say so. If Duncan could promote Councilmember Thomason to a panelist. Welcome.
Thanks. Good morning, Chief, and thanks to both of you. And great to, at least I get to see you all. So thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Stephen has prepared a home security review presentation, and we'll get right into that. And Stephen, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen, make sure I've got that up and running for you. All right, can everybody see the screen right now?
I can see it, Stephen.
All right, perfect. So today we're going to talk about home security. And my name is Officer Stephen McGee. I'm the Community Resource Officer here in the town of Paradise Valley. Our officers come out to residences and we provide a home security assessment, and we go into great detail. It's customized for your property. We have a checklist that we go through, and we make sure we touch all the different topics that we're going to be discussing today. So with our home security review, I did want to talk about crime in the town of Paradise Valley. Paradise Valley is one of the safest cities in Arizona, according to the National Council for Home Safety and Security. They do a report that take the FBI unified crime stats all across the country, and then they use that data with towns that have populations over 10,000, and then they come up with this list. In Arizona, the town of Paradise Valley is the second safest city in all of Arizona. It's the top safest in the Maricopa County area. And when we talk about the crimes that we have in the town of Paradise Valley, we do report those crimes every single month with a monthly report, and it also gets put onto a community crime map. That's important because when you know what's happening around you, it helps you identify what might be suspicious and what to look out for when there's crime happening in our area. In the town of Paradise Valley, the primary types of crime are nonviolent, and they're related to property. A lot of them are opportunistic, and by looking for things that might open up those opportunities, if we can remove them, we can help prevent the crimes from occurring. So today we're going to be talking about crime prevention, and we're going to be also going into crime prevention through environmental design. So I wanted to define what crime prevention was. It is a pattern of attitudes and behavior directed both at reducing the threat of crime and enhancing the sense of security to positively influence the quality of life in our society and to develop environments where crime cannot flourish. When we think about crime prevention, one of the big things that we're able to do is change the environment to be able to help prevent that crime. There's numerous studies that have proven that the built environment affects human behavior in terms of fostering and preventing criminal acts. The earliest forms of crime prevention by design can be traced back to the 60s and 70s, and the most effective place-specific crime prevention strategies are those that take into account the geographic, cultural, economic, and social characteristics of that targeted community. And so the thing that could be, the one thing that is the most particular to crimes that might happen at your residence is your residence, that location. And so what we can do to enhance that security is what is going to prevent the crime from happening at your property. crime prevention through environmental design, we call it CEPTED. It uses 4 strategies to be able to help prevent crimes from occurring. So the first one that we look at is natural surveillance. The second is territorial reinforcement, then natural access control, and maintenance. So I'm going to discuss each one of those and give a couple examples, and then I'm going to kind of go over what have we learned from some of the home assessments that we've done in areas that maybe people could improve on. So natural surveillance, it's the design of the space to allow visibility by legitimate users and keep possible intruders under observation. It makes the offender's behavior more easily noticeable. It properly selected and installed and maintained landscaping allows for unobstructed views or of otherwise vulnerable doors and windows. So by keeping landscaping, your shrubs and bushes 2 to 3 feet and your tree lines up to 7 or 8, it allows people who maybe are neighbors passing by your residence to be able to see who might or should be at your property. And if somebody's not supposed to be there, they don't have that hiding them. This would also include like your windows, not having it covered by a bush, but having that having it visible, so that way somebody's not behind the window trying to access, get in and out of that area of your property.
So one of the things on natural surveillance is think about it as windows to the street, so you can see what's going on your street. You can be a good witness as a result of just being available, seeing what is there, not an active measure of surveillance, just a passive measure.
Mm-hmm. The next one is territorial reinforcement. Territorial reinforcement is marking territorial controls of a space, which discourage potential offenders who perceive that control and try to avoid it. Territorial reinforcement employs such design elements as sidewalks, landscaping, and porches to help distinguish the difference between public and private areas and helps exhibit the signs of ownership that send the hands-off message to would-be offenders. Other things like signs that maybe say you have security, or that it's monitored by cameras, or that there's a dog. Those type of things can also provide territorial reinforcement to a would-be protruder.
And the icon on this one is really important. I think that fencing is great, even if it's just 2-foot fencing that somebody could easily step over. It just reinforces that it's your property. So whether it be a snake wall or a short wall, that's really important to reinforce your territory for your residents.
The next element is natural access control. Natural access control employs elements like doors, shrubs, fences, and gates to deny admission to crime target areas, and it helps create the perception among offenders that there is a risk in selecting that target. The primary thrust of access control strategy is to deny access to the crime target. Physical and mechanical means of access control, locks, bars, and alarms can supplement natural access control measures if needed. A good example of this might be sometimes we'll see burglaries occur in the master bedroom bathroom window. In order to deny access to that point, what we might do is we might put a cactus or some type of thorny bush right at that window so people don't want to come through it. Those are the types of things that you would do to deny that access to that point. So anywhere where you don't want somebody or you want to guide them in another way, you use the shrubbage, you use fences to make them not want to go over there.
Some other ideas that Stephen's already touched on, cacti, but rose bushes are good and pretty. Bougainvillea is a good opportunity, nice and thorny, that we might, if somebody chooses to go in that route through that window, we might end up with some DNA as a result of the scratches they received from that thorny plant. So those are helpful in helping us solve a crime.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got maintenance. Maintenance includes cleaning, repairing, and landscaping. It needs to be performed regularly to encourage the use of that space for its intended purpose and discourage abnormal or criminal use. Maintenance sends a clear signal that someone cares about that area, and it's likely to defend it against intruders or vandals. Planting of landscape material should allow for an open line of sight area between areas that are frequented by residents and potential crime targets, limiting hiding spaces where criminals might be. And so maintenance is really good. If you see something like, if there was graffiti or something like that on a property or on your property, you want to clean that up as fast as possible, so the message or whatever was intended by that criminal is taken away and they don't get the pleasure of having that message out there. Having everything maintained and cleaned helps eliminate copycats or reduce the crime.
I think this one is probably the most important. Maintenance, especially with landscaping. You know, if a criminal sees that the landscaping is a little sloppy, a little overgrown, they might think that, hey, maybe the doors are unlocked, or the cameras don't work, or the person doesn't know how to use the cameras. And as a result, that gives them that much more of an incentive for not being caught. So landscaping, and especially in Paradise Valley, is very important.
Other things that kind of relate to maintenance might also include, like, your newspaper. If it's out and it's been laid out for a while, it might give the clue to somebody that nobody's present at the house. So having that regularly picked up. Just another thing. Another one that comes to mind is, if you do have signs that say there's a dog, or there's an alarm, or there's security monitoring, if those signs themselves are aged or cracked, that might also give the impression that maybe that service is no longer in service. So maintaining that appearance as well will give the impression that it's cared about, that all those things, that the signs are active, the services are live.
This we talk occasionally about the 9 o'clock walk. 9 o'clock in the evening, go walk your property, make sure your doors are locked, make sure your computer's out of your car, your purse is out of your car, make sure your car is locked if it's not parked in the garage. Even if it is parked in the garage, keys are out of the ignition, keys are out of the vehicle. This is the maintenance, the ongoing thing that you should be doing daily to make sure that your house is crime-free. Remember your 9 o'clock walk. When your 9 o'clock television show comes on, that's a good time to make sure your doors are locked and your property is secure for the evening.
Exactly. The last thing that I have right here is an analysis of the home security assessments that we do. I don't know if you can see me here, but I have, I guess you can't really see it. I have a home security checklist here. And what we do is we go through this checklist using those elements that we talked about in crime prevention through environmental design. They're integrated in this checklist to help us make sure that all the officers, when we go by a residence, we're looking for similar things on those properties. And this analysis is done with about 4 years of data, where I found when in the section for exterior doors, when I ask this question, we often get maybe a no response. And so this question for exterior doors is there glass panels in or near your door that are reinforced in some way that they cannot be shattered? And sometimes it's difficult for people to answer that, because they say, well, my front door has glass in it, or my front door has a glass window right next to it. So they're not reinforced in any way. They don't have a plant or anything in front of them. And one thing that I wanted to share is that there is laminate that you can put on the interior of your window that can make it shatterproof. And so it's just an extra layer where you could strategically locate it in areas where your house might be vulnerable. So it's a laminate that goes on the interior of the house on those windows or those glass panels that can make it shatterproof. So that front door, instead of them being able to smash the window to reach around to unlock it, you have a laminate on there that they can't break it. And so that was a suggestion I wanted to share with everybody, because that was one of the areas that I saw in exterior doors that people often say no to. The next section I have on here is outdoor security. Are there dark areas around your house, garage, or yard at night that would hide prowlers? And sometimes people say yes. And one thing that I wanted to recommend is that we could put motion sensing lighting in locations where it might be dark. A couple examples might be at your driveway. Having a motion sensor light right there might be good, because if you're coming back to your house, having that light there allows you to have visibility of what might be around. But also, as you're driving up to your house, if that light's on, it gives you an indicator that there was motion in the area that signaled that light. So it gives you a greater awareness to look around at your surroundings. Another interesting perspective with the outdoor lighting is by having it in your backyard. If at night you have somebody in your backyard, they could see inside your house quite easily if you have lights on, and you wouldn't know that they're back there. However, by having motion sensing lighting in the backyard, if you're inside the house and the light goes off, it would cue you to look outside to what's happening out there. And so it gives you, again, greater awareness of what might be happening. And for all we know, it might be a bobcat, but you know, it's better to be aware of what's in your backyard than not be aware. So the outdoor security lighting right there is really important. The next one that I have here listed is security when away from the home. This one, it says light timers have been set to turn the lights on and off in a logical sequence when we're away from the house for an extended period of time. It's something interesting to think about is when you are away for an extended period of time, you can put lights on timers and they can go on and off to be able to show that there's some type of activity or something happening at the house. But one step more that you can do in this area is you can put those same timers onto a radio or a television, so that way the ambience of your house has noise. And that's changing also on different patterns. So you've got light and you've got noise that's moving around. And you could put in a vacation watch request with the police, so that way we're aware of that happening at your house. You could put a little note on there so we know that, yeah, the lights are turning on and off and there is noise inside, but nobody's at the property. So that way we know if we're going out there to do a check. The last one that I have on here is outdoor valuables and personal property. This one says our home inventory is up to date and includes photos, and a complete copy is kept somewhere outside the house. The reason we ask for people to take an inventory of their property, including photos, is because it helps us identify what might be stolen, lost, or missing. If we don't know what it is, it's more difficult for us to recover it. A lot of items have serial numbers already on them, which is great. But if we don't have that, then we don't know what it is. Also, sometimes there's items like jewelry. It's very unique and specific, but you have to see a picture of it to be able to accurately identify it. So for us, we are subscribed into a service that allows us to search all the pawn shops for your property if it were stolen and somebody tried trading it in. So if you have a red ruby diamond with a gold chain, that's pretty specific. But if I have a picture of it, I'll know exactly what I'm looking for if I see it in a pawn shop. And so keeping all of that outside the house is important as well, because if your safety deposit box was stolen and it had that information in it, or there was a disaster like a flood or a fire and it destroyed that information, we wouldn't have access to it. Another good use of having an inventory list is you can use it for insurance reasons as well if there was a fire or flood. So those are a couple different tips there. The last one they have on personal property is sometimes there's items that don't have a serial number. Maybe it's an artistic piece, or maybe it's an artistic piece. I think that might be the most appropriate example. If it's something that's yours It's not going to go anywhere. A unique number that you could put on there that's easy to remember is your driver's license number. You could put AZ, your driver's license number, and that would allow an officer to see that number. You would remember it. We could enter that as a stolen item. And also, if I were to run that AZ and the driver's license number, it would come back to you. And so I know where that property might belong to and give me a lead to go off of. So just a couple different tips there for home security. If you're interested in having a full review done at your house that's specific and tailored to your residence, we do home security assessments. They're free to our residents. Temporarily, we have a wait list. And so as soon as we're available to go do in-person contacts, we'll come out to your property and we'll talk about what you can do at your specific property to enhance the security. The goal with our home security assessments is if there's one thing that you can do that can make it a little bit safer, you've made it safer than it was the day prior. And if we're making steps forward towards safety, then we're going to create a safer community, and we're going to slowly push out crime from our community. If we can get our neighbors to do home security reviews as well, that also helps prevent and push the crime away from our residences. So please take down my information, share it with your neighbors, and if you're interested in having a home security review, please reach out to me. Right now, I think we've got a couple questions that were submitted that we'll go over. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that sheet that had those questions, and I'll share that.
Before we do that, I noticed that the mayor joined in, and I just want to give Mayor Ben Wilner an opportunity to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, Chief Wingert, and thank you, Officer McGee. Great presentation. I'm sure there are many joining by Zoom, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for participating and contributing to, and Commander Cole as well, I see you. Thank you. For contributing to the safety of our community by educating yourselves and playing an active part in public safety. We're very fortunate and blessed to have an extremely capable and professional and respectful, excellent police department that the council's committed to supporting fully, funding fully. But as they will tell you, public safety is a team effort. We all have a role to play. And so as your mayor, I want to thank you all for participating. Please spread the word. Please don't hesitate. When our department officials encourage you and your neighbors and others, people with questions, to contact them, they mean it. It's not just lip service. They're here to help, and they want to hear from you, and they want to be able to engage in positive ways with the community before anything happens. And they're here if something does happen, but that's their primary goal. And as your mayor, I support that 100%, as does our council. We're all unified in that. So thank you again to the department for doing these talks. And folks, please spread the word to your neighbors. I know this isn't the same as actually sitting down together and having a real coffee, but you can grab your mug and enjoy a cup of coffee while you learn some things and connect with people, and especially our police department. And it's good for us to all be together. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, Officer McGee. Thank you, Commander Cole. I appreciate everything you're doing. And I know I speak on behalf of the whole community when I say thank you for all that you all are doing. And thank you to all the citizens who have joined. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. As Stephen mentioned, we had about 10 questions submitted to us in the social media site. And just want to go through those. So Stephen's going to throw up the questions and then the prepared answers, and each of us will take a few of these and work our way through them together. So the first question was that a contracted alarm service, if there was somebody who actually broke into a residence, what would be a list of how should we contact the police department? And they gave us a couple of options. First, the most important and the best way is calling 911. Additionally, calling 911 and having a smart 911 profile set up gives you the opportunity to give us more information about the call about the 911 call should you get disconnected, or if you have a medical condition, or if there's information that you want to share with us about your location. So the primary way to contact us in an emergency would be to call 911. Additionally, if you're close by your alarm panel, hit that your on panel panic button, or use your key fob to send a panic alert. Sometimes that will go through. Only use that if it's accessible. Don't go running across your house to get to that. Just call 911. Activating your alarm system and allowing it to make as much noise as possible, it's a good idea. Your alarm system hopefully is always armed to stay mode when you're at home, if you're not going in and out of your house. So when a door opens and you don't know about it, it should set off an alarm. So make sure your alarm is armed to stay. And then panic buttons or key fobs are awesome. Make sure that you keep your doors locked, even when you're home. So if somebody breaks in, you can lock the doors as you go to a safe area to hide. That creates a barricade for the individual to get through. And then even if you can't say anything, call 911 and just leave the phone flat. The dispatchers are trained to, if they don't hear voice, they're trained to open a text session, and they'll text with you from your safe hiding place. Or if you have a area where you can go, a safe room or something to that effect, that's a good idea as well. The phone line, the open phone line, allows the dispatcher to hear what's going on in the background, so that's also important. And then it's really important to arm your phone, or arm your alarm system when you are at home in stay mode. So that's really helpful. In Paradise Valley, calling the police and calling 911 achieve the same function, but calling 911, particularly if you have a smart 911 profile, gives us more information that we can get to your residents more quickly. So 911 first, especially 911 if you have a smart 911 profile set up. Secondary, pushing your silent alarm, pushing your panic alarm. Make sure that when you use those, or if your alarm goes off, you identify the reason it went off prior to clearing the alarm. We'd much rather run to a false alarm than to run to a alarm that's been cleared and actually has something occur. So that's the advice on that priority list. 911 first. Question number 2. Is there a source to go to for prompt information whether there is a significant protest or riot in the town or in the near proximity? The best sources that we try to get information out on are Alert PV and the social media sites. So maintain contact with one of those two. If you haven't signed up for Alert Paradise Valley, that's probably the best mechanism. And then secondary is the social media sites. Question number 3, what is the town, through its police force or otherwise, legally allowed to do in order to deal with a riot in the town? So I just want to make a clear distinction between protesting and rioting first. Protesting is a peaceful demonstration that a group uses to have their voice heard to change the action they feel is inappropriate. Protesting is protected by First Amendment. of the Constitution. And because it's protected by a First Amendment of the Constitution, police responses should be pretty standard, whether you're in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, regardless of where you are. Our goal when we have a protest is to protect the rights and safety of the residents, but also protect the rights and safety of the protesters. Rioting, on the other hand, is damaging property, stealing property. It's not legal. It's not protected speech. Should a riot occur within the town's borders, we'll work with our partner agencies to quell that situation as promptly as we can. And then we'll conduct investigations in order to bring those who are involved in the rioting to justice. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen for a couple of questions.
The question that I have here is, what is Alert Paradise Valley, and is there a thing residents need to do to stay current to achieve maximum benefits? Alert Paradise Valley is the town's emergency and alert notification system. The alerts are powered by an app. It's called Smart 911, and on that app, you can create a safety profile where the residents were able to sign up for the notifications from the town to stay informed about life-saving actions to keep yourself and the family safe. You select the types of notifications that you want and how you want to be notified, by text message, by phone, by email. This safety profile, it can be displayed with pertinent information that you elect to share with first responders should you ever dial 911. It's only displayed when you dial 911, and when seconds matter in an emergency, having that additional information can help us when we're responding. To maximize the benefits of this program, I'd recommend logging into the portal on our website and updating or confirming the information is correct every 6 months. You'll get an automated email every 6 months to ask you to update or if everything's current. And usually you just have to push OK on that email and you're good to go. If not, you can go to our website, and I've listed a link here. It's paradisevalleyaz.gov/alertpv. And that will allow you to find the portal to log in for your profile. The next question I have here are, what are your thoughts about motion activated dog barking recording as protection for a house? Well, I think any action that you take to deny, deter, detect, or delay are all layers of crime prevention for your residents. And those can be built upon depending on what other components you already have in place. If you already have some of these other components, this is just another layer that could deter, detect criminal activity. And my first recommendation, if you're away for just a quick moment, is to set your house alarms and have some type of audible sound on there. And then a second layer of added security would be a feature like a video doorbell that has two-way audio. So that way, when you do receive a notification for motion, you can respond with your own voice. And it's the most direct means for you to be able to identify if there is some type of threat. You can attempt to deter that threat. And if it's recorded, you're able to share that with your neighbors as a caution of whatever that potential danger is in your community. And if it leads or becomes a crime, it can serve as evidence for any type of future criminal case that we have. So that's what I would recommend. I think motion activated dog barking can help, but I think it would be a secondary deterrent. And I would focus more on a primary one, like having a video doorbell. The next question I have here is, do you feel there is a benefit in having signs or stickers on residential properties indicating there's an alarm monitored by the police? And what about a sign or sticker indicating the property has 24-hour video surveillance? Absolutely, I do. The stickers and signs, they indicate that you have some type of active alarm system, whether it's monitored by the town or elsewhere, can be an effective deterrent, and even having fake cameras. And the PVPD, we do provide some signs and stickers to residents who are subscribed into our police monitor alarm system. We can also sell additional signs and stickers if needed. You want to make sure that the signs and stickers are not showing signs of wear, like being cracked or faded. And because if they do look old, they could give a false impression that the service is no longer being utilized or active. One thing that I have seen on personal investigations is looking at video surveillance of a burglary and then going back in time to see when did those burglars arrive. And I was able to see them go to another property and not go to that property specifically because it had a camera. So they saw the camera and then they left. So I do think that stickers, signs, cameras, whether they're real or fake, can be effective deterrents in crime prevention. The next question is number 7. I'm going to turn this over to Commander Cole.
Thank you, Stephen. Good morning, everyone. So question 7, we were asked, what are your views on the advisability of having pepper spray or other self-defense spray at home? In order to deploy pepper spray, you have to be within several feet of your target. And we would really prefer that instead of closing distance to an assailant, you create distance. It's always safer to get away from an assailant to create that distance than it is to try to close the gap to them. If you have time to go find your pepper spray, you probably have time to go out a door, go out a window, and call 911. Keep in mind that if you do choose to use pepper spray as a home defense mechanism, you have to get close. It's very hard to score a good hit on a moving target. So a lot of times when police deploy it in those sorts of situations, we miss. And when you do deploy it, keep in mind that you're probably going to be affected by the pepper spray as well. Ask any cop who's used pepper spray, been around somebody who used pepper spray. We can tell you what it tastes like, what it feels like, because it gets in the air, it gets on the officers, and if the assailant closes to you, it's on them, it's going to be on you, and you're not going to be able to see, you're not going to be able to breathe either. So we would really prefer a much better solution is just create distance, get out, call 911. It kind of goes back to the question that the chief answered in number 1. If you lock your doors, if you set your alarm, you're going to have time to get away or call 911, or they're not even going to come in the first place because they don't want to be caught. So do those things first and then create distance. If you do choose to use pepper spray is okay. It's a good defense mechanism. If you're out walking by yourself, it's great for dogs. Dogs don't like it. It's rated by the percentage of the active ingredient. It goes up to about 3%. So if you do decide to buy it, just make sure you know how it works and buy one with a higher percentage. Question 8, if a home invasion occurs by an unknown intruder, is it legal to shoot to kill? So we get this question a lot. The answer is always the same. It depends. We can't answer that question for you. The only person that can is the county attorney. They're the ones that review shootings. They review police shootings and say whether the police shooting was legal. They review home shootings and decide if the resident was legal in shooting. And what they do is they refer back to the circumstances that occurred, and then they look at the Arizona Revised Statute 13404, which is justification. And in that, it uses a reasonable person standard. And it says, would a reasonable person believe that physical force was immediately necessary to protect against life from another individual's unlawful use of physical force? So again, we can't tell you because we don't know the circumstances before they occur. The county attorney will look at all of the circumstances, look at it in response to this Arizona Revised Statute, and they will make that determination. If you do choose to keep a firearm in your home, please make sure you know how it works, you're very familiar with it, and make sure it's always secured. Far more people are accidentally shot in their homes than shoot intruders. Far too many children are shot and killed finding an unsecured weapon in a home and playing with it. So for sure, if you decide to, make sure you know how it works, make sure you're trained in it, and make sure it is always secure. So the last question that I had was, does the town, through its own operations or contacts with other law enforcement agencies, track or receive information as to the activities of hate groups or organizations in order to try to have advanced knowledge of any potential demonstrations, riots, or looting or other threat to property, such as the recent Fashion Square riot? So yes, absolutely. The Paradise Valley Police Department, we are partners with a multi-jurisdictional agency called the ACTIC. It's the Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center. The ACTIC has full-time analysts that monitor social media for these sorts of things. They notify us immediately when there's an advertised protest or demonstration planned in our jurisdiction. The ACTIC analysts also use an app which notifies in real time of ongoing protests or demonstrations across the state, so that all the agencies, if it's happening in Scottsdale or Phoenix, even though it's not here in Paradise Valley, we can monitor in real time what's happening, how many people, where they're moving, is it peaceful, is it not, so that we know what's going on and we can be prepared in case it starts to move towards our jurisdiction. We participate with that. We have our own crime analyst who's a member of ACTIC and monitors that information as well. So we are well informed on all of those things going on.
The last question I have right here is, what can we do as concerned citizens to help the police at this very difficult time? These were some of the things that came to mind for me. Was you can share your support of our officers by sending an email that we can share with our entire police department by writing to me. And I've got my email address listed here. It's smcgee@paradisevalleyaz.gov. And for us, this is a highlight that when we read it, it helps us begin our shifts each week. So those emails are really nice when we get those from the residents, and to be able to share them with the department is really nice. So that's something you can do if you're interested. Another thing is we do have the Paradise Valley Public Safety Foundation. It's an independent 501c3 charitable organization, and their mission is to seek to provide supplemental support to the public safety needs in the town of Paradise Valley. They're the only nonprofit organization that does that specific thing for public safety needs in the town of Paradise Valley. So this support includes the Paradise Valley Police Department, and you can visit their page to find out how you can support them in their mission, as well as get involved with their foundation. And I have their website listed here. It's www.pvpublicsafetyfoundation.org. And they're newly founded, but they're doing great things in our community. So was there anything else that Commander or Chief wanted to add to that?
Just on that point, it's obviously morale is, it's a difficult time to be a cop. And the more positive messages we can get from our supportive community, the better the morale feels walking out the door to do our jobs for a 10-hour, 12-hour day. So as Stephen mentioned, those emails are great. They're worth their weight in gold. So I'm appreciative of any assistance you can provide in doing that. It's one thing to hear from me, but it's another thing for the officers to hear from you. So your support is always appreciated. Okay, we'll do this again next month, as trying to get back on the horse that threw us in March, and we'll do this at least as a Zoom message or a Zoom seminar, webinar. And if you have questions that come to your mind between now and then, please submit them, and we'll go through the same format. We'll do a quick presentation and then answer submitted questions in advance. If you have questions about today's presentation, please reach out to Stephen. Stephen, you want to throw your information back up there if you can? Yeah.
Let me see if I can send it out.
And people maybe can screenshot it. And then I'd be more than happy to obviously getting on the waiting list for home security reviews would be great as well.
Also a question about making this available to others, and I just did want to mention that it is being recorded, and I believe Stephen's going to put it on the website. So if your friends, neighbors didn't have a chance to view it, they'll be able to.
Yeah, and also the questions that were asked, we'll post those on our website as well somehow. We're appreciative of you all, and hope to see you next month. Thank you so much for joining us for the Coffee with the Cop.